we've got some apples here and we've got some oranges. And what I want to think about is what is the ratio? What is the ratio of apples to oranges? To oranges. And to clarify what we're even talking about, a ratio is giving us the relationship between quantities of two different things. So there's a couple of ways that we can specify this. We can literally count the number of apples, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 apples. And we could say the ratio is going to be 6 to, and then how many oranges do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It is 6 to 9. Ratio of apples to oranges is 6 to 9. And you could use different notation. You could also write it this way. 6 to, you would still read it as the ratio as being 6 to 9. But we don't have to just satisfy us with this, because one way to think about ratios, especially if we're thinking about apples to oranges, is how many apples do we have for a certain number of oranges. And when you think about it that way, we can actually reduce these numbers, as you might have already thought about. Both 6 and 9 are divisible by 3. So just how like we can reduce fractions, we can also reduce ratios. So if you divide 6 and 9 both by 3, 6 divided by 3 is 2. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. So we could also say that the ratio of apples to oranges is 2 to 3. Or if we want to use this notation, 2 to 3. 2 to 3. Now, does that make sense? Well, look, we divided each of these groups into 3. So one way to think about it, so if you divide this whole total into 3 groups, so one group, two groups, and 3 equal groups, we see that in each of those groups, for every 2 apples, we have 3 oranges. For 2 apples, we have 3 oranges. For 2 apples, we have 3 oranges. So, once again, the ratio of apples to oranges, for every 2 apples, we have 3 oranges. But we could think about things the other way around as well. We could also think about what is the ratio. Ratio of oranges to apples. Oranges to apples. And here we would essentially switch the numbers. The ratio of oranges to apples. Notice, up here we said apples to oranges, which is 6 to 9, or 2 to 3 if we reduce them. And here we're going to say the ratio of oranges to apples. So we've swapped these two, and so we're going to swap the numbers. Here we have 9 oranges for every 6 apples. So we could say the ratio is going to be 9 to 6. The ratio is 9 to 6. Or if we want to reduce it, for every 3 oranges, so we're going to divide this by 3. So for every 3 oranges, we are going to have 2 apples. We are going to have 2 apples. So notice, this is just exactly what we had up here. But when we had apples to oranges, it was 6 to 9, 6 apples for every 9 oranges. And now when it's oranges to apples, we say it's 9 to 6. 9 oranges for every 6 apples. Or we could say for every 3 oranges, we have exactly 2 apples.